Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, we're coming to you from Harry Reid International Airport in Las Vegas, and we're talking to Rosemary Vassiliadis. She's Director of Aviation for the Clark County Department of Aviation, and Joanna Jacob, Government Relations Manager of Clark County. They're here for two shows on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers. Big R in Sparks is located on Bering Boulevard next to Smith's and across from Reed High School. It's a 50,000 square foot clothing store and a whole lot more. For the cold days ahead, jackets, hoodies, flannel shirts, insulated bib overalls, thermal underwear, beanies, and merino wool socks. Big R. Hardware, clothing, and a whole lot more.
Remember 2010 in northern Nevada, 13 to 14% unemployment, thousands of homes in foreclosure, Nevada's casinos closing? Families in the Reno-Sparks area were hurting. Many were losing everything. Then Story County launched a game changer for our region, a public-private industrial partnership, streamlined permitting, slashed bureaucracy, attracting Fortune 500 companies that made Nevada their home. Story County generated a river of cash to area communities. Economic studies by the state and others for the Gigafactory consistently show positive economic benefits for our region. $4 billion in local wages, $17 billion in consumer spending and economic activity, over $100 million in taxes to Washoe, Story, Reno, Sparks, and Nevada, just for the Gigafactory alone. Story County, improving northern Nevada one industry at a time.
$200,000 cars and cash giveaways at Carson Valley Inn. Cash and prize drawings Thursdays and Saturdays. Plus, win a 2023 Ford F-150 or we'll pay you cash instead. Don't miss your chance to play and win. Cars and cash at the Carson Valley Inn.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, coming to you from Harry Reid International Airport here in Las Vegas with Rosemary Vassiliadis. She is the Director of Aviation for the Clark County Department of Aviation, and Joanna Jacob, who is Government Relations Manager for Clark County. It is a pleasure to have you both here. Our regular viewers and listeners know I have been going on and on about, in quotes, the airport with no name that's scheduled for the Ivanpah Valley. And my conversations about this go back to your predecessor, Randy Walker. And as I mentioned to you before we started taping, one of the things I love about airports and RTCs and state demographers is that you have to think out 30 plus years. It's not something that happens overnight. So let's start talking about Ivanpah Valley. I know that the land that you got through at the legislature, it's a town, but it doesn't have a name at this point in time. So we'll get to that eventually. But we'll just refer to it, if that's okay, as Ivanpah Valley. So it's what, around 6,000 acres that has been secured for this future airport? Right.
So back in 2000, a congressional act was passed to deem a second commercial airport site in the Ivanpah Valley.
And that was Shelley Berkeley, right?
And that she was a supporter and a carrier of the bill, yes.
Okay, and so it's been referred to as a reliever airport. But it strikes me that with the growth of Las Vegas, as it has, and what we're looking at for the future, that this is really going to end up being a major airport. As if one looked at Denver, for example, that their airport is 25, 30 minutes outside of the downtown, that this is going to be a similar situation. Am I correct about that?
Actually not, Sam. It's legally termed a supplemental airport, so it's an additional commercial airport into the Harry Reid airport system. So, you know, we're a system of airports. So right now we have the one commercial airport with Harry Reid, and then we have our relievers in North Las Vegas and Henderson, and then we have two additional ones, the one out in Overton, which is just a community airport for GA, and then the one in Jean, which is aviation enthusiasts, where the gliders and the banners and things like that operate out of. This will be a second fully operational commercial airport. So Denver actually built a brand new airport and closed the second airport.
Right.
So they still just have one commercial airport. We're going to be more like, Reagan and Dulles, O'Hare and Midway. It'll be a 2 commercial airport operating system.
Okay, so not replacing, and I really
Correct.
didn't mean to indicate that, but it will be a fully fledged airport.
Yes.
Okay, so at this point in time, you're doing environment impact statements, things like that?
So we are hoping to start that process very, very soon. There's a lot of studies and boxes to check before the federal government actually starts an EIS. So that's who actually does the environmental impact statement. In this particular case, for this airport, it's a joint sponsorship between FAA and BLM. So we have been meeting with them and providing them really feasibility study type of reports that this is a viable, feasible airport. After they get that report, which will be shortly, they'll go through it and determine when the actual EIS will begin.
Okay, now you've been quoted, and I think it was by Rick Vallada as saying in the Review Journal, that Harry Reid will essentially run out of space in 2030, but the new airport wouldn't be able to be ready till 2037. And my thought is that the gaming industry would not be thrilled with a 7-year gap. So is there opportunity to speed up the timeline?
So really what we're looking at now is what this airport does for Southern Nevada today. And as you know, Southern Nevada has completely evolved to a different type of destination. So we're not just dependent on hotel rooms anymore, right? The stadium, the large venue, places, T-Mobile, especially with overlapping events.
Sure.
So something at T-Mobile, something at Allegiant Stadium, something at Michelob. Now we have the Sphere. We always had Grand Garden. It has now evolved to a different type of passenger behavior. So number one, since the last time we talked, actually more visitors arrive by air than drive-in. Before, drive-ins were always more than 50%. That's no longer the case, and that's because of being a sports arena, a sports capital of the world. Completely different mindset and behavior. So before, we were always dependent just on room nights. And it worked like clockwork, right? We had leisure visitors, we had convention delegates. And we could figure that out, 2.1 room night, 3.2, and it worked wonderfully. That's not the case anymore. So what we had to do is we had to change the way that we are looking at the operations of this airport, and it's not by room nights. People come, well, first of all, look at our community. My goodness, we're over 2 million.
Right, it's like 2.3, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of family and friends that come to those football games. Right. We can tell you that. So they don't stay in hotels. It's not typical. It's everything. And so with that, now we're looking at it as what is our delay rate? We never ever want to be a delayed airport, but during a peak time that could happen. So it doesn't matter how many seats come in, it matters how many operations can the aviation system handle. So for example, I'm not picking on them, but let's take SFO, San Francisco. They start their day in a delay, so many of the airlines, because of the fog, because of weather factors. But they know somewhere in that day they're going to make it up and they're going to be fine by the end of the day. We don't want to be that. Right. We don't want to be that delay. However, we only have so much real estate here, right? And one of the studies to propose a second commercial airport is what could we do on this site? And we could not add an additional runway. Right. We can't, we have Las Vegas Boulevard butting up one side. We have the UP Railroad butting up the other side. I mean, we are an encroached airport. We all know that. So encroachment could create some constraints, and that's what made us look at this airport site again of, no, we are going to be leading towards that way.
Okay, so to go back to my question, if I may, could there be a 7-year delay between when you run out of space and when you open the new one, or are there things that could be done to speed up the process?
So what I'm telling you is we're not going to run out of space.
Okay.
We don't run out of space. We don't close our doors. We don't freeze in time because everything's so different. Football teams are different. The Baltimore Ravens came in with 3 charter planes. One for the team, right. One for the booster club, and then one for fans. They actually fly their fans in on a wide-body charter flight. Wow. Kansas City, our entire terminal's full of red because all the Kansas City fans fly in commercial. So every single, teams are different, events are different. The GA is very high for a UFC fight. And maybe not for a hockey game. So what we have to do now is look at accommodating it. Again, regardless of how many seats are there. Now it's number of operations, and does it cause a delay? When are we going to get to a delay? And what we have to do is we work with the airlines to try to smooth those peaks out. Because we're just a peak and valley town. Well, we're no longer valley, but we're peak and not so peak type of town. And we work with the airlines, the new entrants, especially the international that tend to come in with wide bodies. So they take a little bit more time on the airfield and at the gate. And try to smooth that so we don't have them, compacting and making that time worse for a delay.
All right. So what you're saying is basically, if I can reiterate, that the 2030 deadline is not a hard deadline. It could be flexible depending on how well organized you are.
It is flexible with how we're working today. There's not a number, and really, we came up with a number 25 years ago, and then that was changed.
Yeah, I had 2024 as a start date the last time we talked.
Because we're always going to accommodate them. It's what level of delay does an airline handle, or does a visitor come in? So F1. Everyone's going to leave on Sunday and Monday. Now we're doing everything we can to mitigate it, to smooth it out as much as we can, but there'll be delays that day. I mean, it's the nature of the beast. Sure. There's delays on the roadway systems. There's there's delays going into a facility and an event, right? We all go at the same time. We all wait in line to go there. That event's so wonderful for us, we're going to wait in line. We're going to get there early. Sure. That's the same thing that's happening here. The event is so wanted to go to it that, okay, if I can't land at 3 o'clock, I could land at 3:30. Right. That's an easy adjustment. So those are the things that we're doing, to smooth it out, to smooth out the GA, the general aviation, the private aircraft. We have invested heavily, you've seen it at Henderson and North Las Vegas as well. And we're trying to entice them off of Harry Reid and go there. That helps us, again, another method that we use that's ongoing to help those peaks out. So we're not a, knock on wood, we're not a delayed airport yet, so we're not even there. But you do have days where there's delays. Everyone has weather factors. We have winds here that, right, like Reno.
Sunday,
it's not fun, but of course it impacts. And then there is a category of constraint. Far in the future, if we don't do something, we would be a constrained airport. We never want to be that.
All right. Jim Gibson, the chair of the Clark County Commission, was on the program and said that according to 2019 estimates, that the new airport would cost around $12 billion. And it was interesting, Ray Hager, who reports for me, said that Hoover Dam in today's dollars costs $750 million. So $750 million to $12 billion, it would be the largest public works program in the state of Nevada's history. how would that be paid for?
So there's several different methods that's being pursued right now. The biggest one, as we're going through all of these studies with FAA and with BLM, is do we need a full build out on opening day? And that is what's being studied. And if we don't need a full build out, then it's not going to be that amount. It's going to be much less. And so that is exactly what's going into these feasibility analysis as we speak.
But it's still going to be, no matter what. I mean, you still have to have runways, you still have to have airport buildings, you still have to have other amenities around there. There's going to have to be a place for construction workers to live. There's going to have to be a place for people who are going to work at the airport to live, because I'm presuming they're not going to shuttle backward and forward. Is that additional acreage to the 6,000 acres, or is that included within that 6,000 acres?
Well, housing is not. So you have the 6,000 acre site, which is the footprint of the actual operating airport. And then there was a second congressional act that will deem us 17,000 acres around that site for compatible development. Housing isn't compatible development, but there's a lot of development that could produce revenues that could go into a funding plan.
Well, and that's
then
one.
Joanna will talk about the additional boundary that's also protection that can help out.
Okay, and let's go to you to talk about that.
Happy to. I guess I would add, I guess I can talk a little bit about the legislation that we did last session. And Rosemary mentioned both congressional acts, and what the county really tried to do is, you can see how much to the airport is juggling, and we as a community are juggling right now. And the Department of Aviation is at the table with the county manager on all of this planning and all of these things as a county department, right? And that is a benefit to us because of the importance of the airport to our community. When we wanted to look at legislation for the last legislative session, this was identified as a priority for both the county manager at that time, Yolanda King, and then our Board of County Commissioners, because we've been thinking about this project for a long time.
Sure.
And because we have got to work with both federal agencies, both FAA and BLM, and to think about compatible use and area. I was going to add to what Rosemary had said. You mentioned the significant needs that we'll have as we begin to build the airport. We have been working very collaboratively, I would note, with the City of Henderson. We created a joint study interlocal agreement with them many years ago as we were contemplating the Southern Nevada airport, the supplemental airport, and talked about the significant and maybe eventual urbanization of that area and of the county, which is going to contemplate, with Henderson and the county together, planning and really growing that area. And we were going to look at things maybe on the city side, which might be workforce housing, but then as we get closer to the airport, we want to make sure that we plan for the compatible growth in the area
industrial,
surrounding.
commercial.
For noise mitigation and for a number of reasons.
And safety
reasons, which, Homeland Security. These are things that have to be taken into account. So in the legislation that we passed, where we are going to create a Clark County town, it really was intended to make sure that as we're dealing with the federal agencies, that they know that they're dealing with Clark County, and we've been planning this for a long time. There's comfort level, I think, between the county and the Department of Aviation and the federal agencies, because we meet very frequently. And we built the town based on the congressional acts that we've talked about. So the 6,000 acres in the 2000 bill, and then the 17,000 acres that came in the 2002 legislation. And then the 1 mile, we call it the buffer zone, around that area, is really to ensure that we are working with the City of Henderson and with FAA and BLM, would you say, to make sure that we are planning for both our community needs, but that they're compatible with with the site and with whatever we might need at this site.
I have to take a quick break, and then we'll come right back for more on the airport that we've been talking about forever here on Nevada Newsmakers after this time out.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
What do you count on? You count on your power every day. At NV Energy, we've always powered what's important to you, but we're not looking at the past. We're focused on the future. While our standards are high, our rates will remain low. And our commitment to renewables isn't just meeting standards, but leading the way. Because you can count on more than just your power. You can count on the company who brings it to you. That's our promise. You can count on it.
Early in the morning or throughout the night, professional truck drivers are on the job, serving you, safely moving freight that's crucial to our economy. From the oldest industries to our newest innovators, from the exotic to the everyday, trucks are everywhere, moving everything. Never afraid to embrace a future that makes Nevada and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're discussing the new airport that will go in eventually into the Ivanpah Valley with Rosemary Vassiliadis, Director of Aviation for the Clark County Department of Aviation, and Joanna Jacob, Government Relations Manager for Clark County. Just a quick question here. Obviously, transportation beyond air has to be involved here. Mm-hmm. There was discussion about Brightline potentially having a stop at the Ivanpah Valley, but Commissioner Gibson said that that's probably 10 years out. But of course, their planning for the airport is also that. But originally, there was light rail that was discussed. Is that still in the mix of conversation?
Everything's on the table. We would be remiss if we didn't consider every type of mode of connectivity. That's very important for the system to work, because again, it's an extension of Reed. And that all modes, every mode that you can think of is out of the table being looked at.
All right, let's take another break and we'll be right back.
Retail's impact on Nevada's economy? Enormous. 8,600 businesses, large and small, employing 145,000 workers. And last fiscal year, retail paid tax on nearly $60 billion in sales. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We support retail, we help it grow, and we mean business.
RANNV.org. Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
Fantastic cocktails and delicious food.
It's a good time to eat.
Over 500 hot slots plus electronic table games.
It's a good time to play.
Player rewards and big-time jackpots.
It's a good time to win.
Ooh, your good time's a tamarack.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
For 50 years, Nevada Heating has been keeping people comfortable in their homes. At Nevada Heating, call the Do It Right guys and get the air conditioning back on today. That's the Nevada Heating way. Why sweat for days on end when Nevada Heating can get your air conditioning fixed today? Call us today and we'll fix it today at 323-5585 or schedule us on our website at nevadaheating.com.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Rosemary Vassiliadis and Joanna Jacob. I was just back in D.C. for our 11th annual Nevada Newsmakers Goes to Washington, where we interview the entire delegation. And both of our United States senators are fully in support of this. And their basic answer to me when I brought it up was, whatever Clark County needs, they will be happy to do. Have they been relatively easy to work with?
Yes, and they have been supportive since day one. And, you know, they understand. They see the whole nation. They see the whole world. And they do understand what an airport system does for the community. And, you know, in this case, it's really the whole state.
Absolutely.
You know, that there's so many things that spur off of maybe Las Vegas and the destination down here in all of Southern Nevada. They have been incredibly supportive of protection of this airport as well as the new airport.
Okay, I'm going to beg you to stick around for another show, and so because we have so much more to talk about. So if you'll be kind enough to do that, we'll be right back with part 2 of this interview after this timeout.
Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
7 at 7 is a newscast built for your smartphone. It's a 7-minute newscast available every weekday at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. at lvrj.com. We don't waste your time, and we give you the day's top stories.
We at the RJ have noticed some similarities between us and a certain BTS character, RJ.
Plus the latest in Las Vegas business, weather, health, and entertainment news. 7 at 7 streaming now on your smartphone.
Southwest Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Event Center sits at the heart of the Las Vegas Strip. 2 floors of meeting and event space are ideal for groups and conventions. Stay in one of 200 luxurious rooms and suites. Brand your event throughout the property. Flexible event spaces make for easy planning and personalization. Take over the entire hotel with a full buyout option.
Thanks for watching Nevada Newsmakers, and stay tuned for part 2 of our interview with Rosemary Vassiliadis and Joanna Jacob right here on Nevada Newsmakers.